to another video here with Angel B Designs. I'm Angel B. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So in today's video, if you are new to my channel, every Monday night I go live, and for the most part I do either bling or puff vinyl or a combination of both in my lives. I do have a lot of beginner blingers on this channel, so I do get a lot of people who ask me to kind of deep dive into the process of using hot fix rhinestones from start to finish. Now, in some of my lives, I have done that process from start to finish, but my lives can get a little lengthy, somewhere between an hour and a half to maybe 2.5 hours. So what I decided to do was go ahead and do an updated video that was shorter and more condensed, so that if you are a beginner on this channel, you do have an updated 20-minute video that you can watch, whereas you don't have to sift through a 2-hour live. Okay, so in today's video, you guys, we are going to be doing rhinestones from start to finish. Okay, I'm going to show you how you would download them from Etsy, upload them to your software. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I am using a Siser Romeo with the Siser Leonardo Design Studio. The process should be the same if you are using Cricut Design Space or Silhouette Studio. Granted, I have not used Cricut Design Space in, at least 6 months. So assuming that nothing has changed, the only thing that I can remember that was an issue with Cricut Design Space is that sometimes the files will not come in the proper size. So you may have to resize it to make sure that your holes are cutting correctly. Now, with files that I provide, with files that I purchase from other people that I use, most of the time the size of the size that the file needs to be comes with either in the description or in the title of the file. Okay, so with Cricut Design Space, that may be the only issue that you should have, hopefully. Again, that's assuming that nothing has changed in the last 6 months, because I have not used Cricut Design Space. You guys, I'm sorry, on this channel I do not use Cricut machines anymore. I don't use Cricut Design Space. I exclusively use my Siser Romeo. Okay, so that's what I'll be using today. That's the software I'll be using today. Okay, so I am going to show you how to download it from Etsy, upload it to your software. We're going to cut it. I'm going to show you how I placed it on my chopping mats. I'm going to show you the cut settings that I have to get the flock dots to peel off perfectly. If you don't know what I mean, just continue watching. You'll see what I mean. I'll show you how to brush it in, and then we'll go ahead and we will press it together. So it's literally going to be start to finish, okay? All right. And this is the hoodie we did. You guys, I will show you a close-up, but I kind of went with a tone-on-tone type thing. So this is a red gilded hoodie. I went with candy apple red on the inside of this file, and then on the outline, it is the silver black metalites. Everything that I am using in today's video, guys, will be linked down below in the description box. Please make sure you are checking their first before you comment. I do get a lot of comments about things that are linked in the description box. Okay, so everything that's used in this video will be down below. All right, so this is what we're doing today, guys, so definitely go ahead and stick around for that. All right, guys, so I'm starting off in Etsy here. This is my Etsy homepage. I get a lot of messages and DMs from people saying that they never received their files, like if they purchase from me. So I just kind of wanted to briefly take a second to show you how to access your Etsy files. When you purchase from an Etsy seller, you're not going to get an email from the seller themselves. Okay, your Etsy download is going to be available through Etsy. That's why they charge so many fees, because Etsy is the one who takes care of sending you your files. Once you purchase them, you're not going to receive them from the seller themselves. Okay. So here's as long as you are logged into your Etsy account, this is what your dashboard is probably going to look like once you go to Etsy.com and you are logged in. It's going to say your name up here. Okay. You're going to go over to this icon here that says your account, and then you're going to go here to your purchases. It should be right there at the top. You're going to select your purchases, and then here is where everything that you have purchased is going to be available. Now, as you can see, it says here that you can download file, download file. All of these files are available for me to download. This one I purchased, it was shipped, but this is where you would go to download your files. This is one way to download your file. Another way, once Etsy confirms your order, they're going to send you an email that says something like, yay, your order is confirmed, or something like that. Inside of that email, there's going to be a link that says, take me to my order, or download my order, something like that. If you click on that, it's going to bring you to Etsy and essentially bring you to this page to download your files, okay? Once you have your files downloaded onto your computer, I'm going to go to Leonardo Design Studio because that is the software that I am going to be using today. You would open up whatever software you have available or whatever software you're going to be using. So for me, like I said, it's Leonardo Design Studio. Once you have downloaded your files to your computer, you're going to go into your respective software and you're going to import your file. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and import. We are using the Be the Energy. This is the file that we'll be using today. Okay, this is it can be a 2-layer, so you can do it to where you have just the outline, and then the inside color, one solid color, which is what I'm going to be doing today. If you want to, you can make the words Be the Energy. You can make them all different colors. You can brush this in however you like. But for today's video, we're going to be using 2 colors. Okay, so I'm going to go to cut only because this is going to be a cut file. We're going to select next. This is the colors that are in use. I'm not going to mess with anything here. We're going to select apply. Okay, so this is a rather larger file than what I typically make, but I wanted this to be able to really stand out on hoodies and sweatshirts because where I am right now, it's really cold, it's really chilly. So I did want this to be able to stand out really well on larger, on like hoodies and sweatshirts. So that's why I made this a little bit larger. But the file size for Leonardo Design Studio, my rhinestone files do come in the same size. I'm sorry, they come in the correct size that they're supposed to be. So for this one, sorry about that, guys. My kids bursted into my office, but so for this file size, it is 11.499 by 10.583. And I do make that available in the file name if you have my file, and then I also make that available in the description of the listing as well. But that is the file size for this file. Now, the way that I'm going to do it, I do cut my files on a mat. So I'm going to go over to my artboard / cutting mat here, and I'm just going to toggle over to the cutting mat. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this on a 12 by 24 mat so that we can go ahead and cut both pieces at the same time. All I'm going to do is select the file. I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to ungroup. And then that should go ahead and separate the inside from the outline. And then we have both of our files here. So both of our pieces here. And then I'm going to go over to send design. All of this I typically don't touch just because I don't necessarily need to. So I'm going to go ahead and select send. Oh, I forgot to change the color. So if you wanted to all cut on the same mat, you would just make it the same color. So we'll go back to send design, select send, and then everything is lined up on one mat. Now, when you're cutting rhinestones, you do not mirror. You do not mirror, you guys. This is a non-mirrored template because you're brushing the rhinestones into it and then you're picking it up. So you don't mirror when you're cutting this. And then I do normally use an auto weave box for my templates, but because this one is kind of on the larger side, I'm not going to use one this time because the weave box is going to make it too big. And typically when a Romeo is trying to cut like all 12 inches, it gets messed up for me. So when I'm using a mat, now if I'm not using a mat, then it'll do it just fine. But I'm using a mat today, so I'm not gonna use the auto weed box just because this file is pretty big. Okay, so this is pretty much it as far as uploading it to your design software or to your cutting software. This should be the only thing. So as far as Silhouette Studio, it should be the same. As far as Cricut Design Space, it should be the same. The only difference that you may have in those two softwares, which I don't really use them to, I don't use those two softwares to cut, so I'm not 100% sure. But the only thing that might be different is that you may have to resize your file. I know that the last time I used Cricut Design Space to cut rhinestone templates, they didn't come in the correct size. So I would have to resize them to make sure that they were the right size. Other than that, the process is the same. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to meet you over at my Siser Romeo. I'm going to show you my settings, and then I'm going to also show you how I load and cut my Siser Romeo as well. All right, guys. So I did already cut out the outline of the template. This is a two-part template, an outside and then the inside. So I cut out the outside already, and I'll show you that in a moment. But I'm gonna cut out the inside of the template now. I use a cutting mat. This template can fit on a 12 by 12 cutting mat. So I just simply cut out a piece of flock from my roll and I placed it onto my cutting mat. I just measured it based off of what Leonardo Design Studio said the size of the image is. And then I cut out a piece and put it on my mat, okay? Like I said at the beginning of the video, I am using a Siser Romeo. I do pretty much just strictly use Siser Romeo. I don't use Cricut. I want to say that this process is going to be the same for Cricut Design Space. However, the last time I used it, which I'm sorry, it's probably been at least 6 months to a year since I've used my Cricut. But the last time, the only issue that I would have was that the file didn't come in the correct size and I would have to resize it. Other than that, the process is the same, okay? So I'm going to go ahead with Siser Romeo. I load mine in the front way. Some people load theirs in the back. I just make sure that my pinch rollers are open. There is a lever back here on the back. Make sure my rollers are open and I load in my mat this way, okay? And then I close it. Siser Romeo does on the keypad have some arrows here, and then all I do is I line up my blade to the corner of the flock here to go ahead and get it cut. Now the settings that I have is speed of 10 and the force of 65 on the mat. There's going to be a difference if you do not cut with a mat. Your speed and force, I mean, your speed, you should keep your speed at 10. That's a good speed. But your force will be different depending on if you use a mat or if you do not use a mat, okay? So, and then blade depth, because with the Siser Romeo, you cannot, like, there isn't a setting for you to do the blade depth, like, within the software. It's just you place it where you place it, basically by the naked eye. So because of that, if your blade depth is not exactly how my blade depth is, then you may not be able to use my settings. When it comes to the Siser Romeo or the Siser Juliet, please make sure you're doing some trial test cuts. Please make sure that, you know, you're definitely just playing around with it. Your Romeo or your Juliet is going to be tailored to you, okay? So what I'm going to do is go ahead, get this sent to the cutter. It typically does not take that long, 20 minutes if that. Siser Romeo cuts pretty quickly. So I'm going to get this cut out. Once it's done, I'll come back and I'll show you how I place it on the mats. Alright guys, so the Romeo is done cutting. So now all I do is open up the pinch rollers, and then I can go ahead and take it out, and then we can go ahead and weed it. Let's see how it looks. I didn't add the weed box this time. Normally I do, but because this file is a little bit on the bigger side, I just went ahead and opted out of the weed box. And that is looking good. Okay, so I have 2 dots here that stayed behind. Just one here and one here. Okay, but that is our file here. So we're going to go over to the craft table and I will show you how I place it onto the mat. Alright, so these are the chopping mats that I use. I kind of switch between the mats and then cardstock as well. Whichever one I have on hand at the time is what I'll place it on. But for today's video, I have the chopping mats on hand. They come in a set of 2. They're, what is the material? I'm not even sure what this is. I'm not sure what kind of material this is, but they're just chopping mats. I get them from Amazon. I will leave these linked down below for you guys. Okay, but I have one open already. This is the outline. I do use front and back. So I put the outline on one side and then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to place the inside on the back so that the whole chopping mat is the whole file. So I don't have to use 2 mats. And basically all I do is just make sure that my holes are on here. That's a little crooked, but that's okay. Okay, and that's it. So I do have a little access over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off. But because the holes are on the mat, it's fine. That's really all you need, is you need the holes to be on the mat. Okay. You guys, I have to sneeze so bad. Bless me. Thank you. Okay. So here's our outline. And then here is the inside. I do have the outline already brushed in. I'll show you the color that I used. These are SS10 obviously. But I used, this is the silver black metal light. So I don't know if you can see, but it's black on the inside and it's silver around. This is what I used for the outline. And then for the inside, I'm going to use candy apple. I will have a link down below where I get my stones from. And then I will just show you how I brush these in. So basically the person that I get my rhinestones from, her name is, well, her YouTube name is The Baby's Booty. And every month she does a buy-in with her rhinestones. So basically, if you're unfamiliar what a buy-in is, it's when you place your order and then, you know, she keeps it open for, I don't remember exactly how many days it is. It used to be 7. I think it might be a little bit longer now. But once the buy-in date ends, so let's say for example, if it's from February 1st to February 10th, then you have 10 days to place your order. Once the buy-in closes on February 10th, now again, those aren't the actual dates, I'm just using that as an example. But on February 10th, when it closes, she then takes everybody's money that they placed with her, the order that they placed. She takes everybody's money along with the orders that she got, and she will place one large order with her supplier, which is overseas. It takes about 30 days. She receives the rhinestones and then she will break them down and repackage them into these containers and send them to your home or whichever address you put on file. And you get the bulk pricing, obviously, because these are bulk, but then because they also come straight from the source, which is overseas, that's why we're able to get the bulk pricing. That happens once a month, okay? And to brush these in, you guys, you want to make sure you're dumping out a decent amount of stones so that you can get them brushed in nicely. But then also, while you're brushing, you want to kind of just go, when you're trying to get the stone into the hole, just kind of go in a circular motion. And then when you're removing them, go in a kind of light swiping motion to get them off of the template once you get them brushed into the hole. Okay, so that's one buying option. She does have a second buying option, which is the buy now option, and all colors will not be available in the buy now, I believe. But those are the ones that she has on hand. So for example, like Crystal AB, those are typically colors she has on hand because they're the most popular, especially for beginners. So if you go to her buy now store, which will be linked down below, you can get some of the colors she has on hand. Now every color is not going to be available in the buy now section, just because she doesn't keep every color on hand. Okay, just the ones that are, like I said, the most popular. Now that we have them all brushed in, what you want to do is, typically this is not necessary, but it is very useful. It's a wax pen. I'll leave some of mine linked down below. But you want to take a wax pen and just kind of go through your template and make sure you don't have any stones overlapping each other. And you want to make sure all your holes are filled. So it does look like all my holes are filled. However, I do see an overlapping stone here. So you just take your wax pen and you pick it up. Okay. Now that looks really, really good. I don't see any other overlapping stones or any other open holes or anything like that. So now I'm going to go get my KTM mask and we're going to get these picked up. Alright, so this is KTM mask. This is what you use to pick the rhinestones up off of the template and put it down to your garment to press. Okay, it is heat resistant. You do need something that's heat resistant. Obviously, it's going to be pressed with a heat press, okay? But I get mine from Heat Transfer Warehouse. This one is a 25-yard roll. It is pretty big, and it does last a long time because, you guys, you can use these pieces more than once. So this is a piece that I cut. I've used it maybe 3 times now. I'm going to use it again for this one. So I would suggest, if you have the funds available, to invest in the bigger roll because, like I said, it does last, because once you cut a piece, it can be reused multiple times. But I will leave the link for the KTM mask in the links down below. Also the flock as well. I'll leave links. Basically everything I'm using in today's video, you guys, will be linked down below. Okay, so you just kind of place in a U shape like I did, drop it right down, and then you want to smooth it out. You guys, if you drop it down, you cannot pick it back up. The stones are going to stick to the KTM mask. So if you drop it and try to pick it back up really quickly, it's going to mess up everything and you're going to have to rebrush in your stones. So you have to commit, you have to drop it. Once they've touched, you have to keep going. You can't pull back. You're just going to make a mess. How do I know? Because I've done it quite a few times. So I just kind of smooth it out with my hands, and then we're going to just pick it up. And as you can see, they come right off the template. Okay? Now my heat press is warming up right now, so once it gets to temperature, we're going to go ahead and we're going to press this on our hoodie. Alright guys, so our heat press, or my heat press, is up to temperature. Now the temperature for this is 350 degrees for 12 seconds is the time and temp. Y'all, don't talk about my mats. I accidentally sublimated on my mat, but don't worry, the ink doesn't come up anymore. It's pretty much like pressed into the mat, okay, at this point. But I am going to be pressing onto a red Gildan hoodie. So this is a 15 by 15 press. What I'm going to do is press it sideways so that it'll fit underneath. Okay. Now I am going to do a pre-press with the rhinestones. You do want to make sure that you are doing a pre-press, and this is because the rhinestones, this is because the rhinestones have an adhesive backing, which is what makes them stick to the garment. If your garment has moisture or anything in it, it messes with the adhesive on the back of the rhinestones, and it creates just issues when you're trying to get longevity out of your garment. Okay? All right, that looks good. Y'all, if it's crooked, it's for me, so I don't really care. So, just gonna go ahead, press this in. This is 350 degrees for 12 seconds. This is the outline, which was the silver black metalites. It's the silver around the edge with the black in the middle. And it is a hot peel, so we can go ahead and peel it right up. That looks so good. Already I can tell, because I'm doing kind of a tone on tone thing with the candy apple and the red hoodie, but I decided to use the silver black metalites just to make sure that it would pop. So that looks great. Amazing. Same thing, we're gonna go ahead and press it 350 degrees for 12 seconds. And you can press the stones if you're layering. Don't worry about pressing like your first layer multiple times. It's fine. That looks so good. This, I have a stone that came from somewhere. It might have been an overlap stone. Let me see. Nope, it was right here. So if I have a stone that gets accidentally turned over or misplaced, I just kind of place it on there and repress. And I just had a stone that was on my KTM mask that turned over, so it didn't press onto the garment. So that's why I'm just repressing, so that that one stone could be in the place it needs to be. All right, amazing. That looks so good. Let me go. Uh-oh. All right. Let me go ahead and turn you guys so you guys can see. And this is the final product. This file is a little bit on the bigger side, but that doesn't necessarily bother me. Because I like to put them on hoodies and sweatshirts and things like that. If you're putting it on a t-shirt, it just, you know, it'll be on the bigger side. But this, I did make this template, and I will leave this link down below as well. But you guys, that looks absolutely amazing. I don't know if you guys can see the candy apple on the red. That tone on tone just looks really pretty, and then the silver black just makes it really pop. All right, well, that is all I have for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Again, please check the description box for everything that I've used in today's video. It will be linked, okay? That's all I have for today's video, guys. Bye.